Malik Willis is projected to go in the first round of the 2022 NFL Draft by some, and his stock may rise even more with another impressive season. The Liberty quarterback's path to the draft is not as simple as one may think. But who is Malik Willis? In the Who Is series, we go through the backstories of up-and-coming collegiate and pro athletes. If there's a player you want to see in future episodes, make sure to leave it in the comments section below. Malik Willis was born on May 25th and grew up in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Malik's father, Mark, played football at Tulane but would return home without a degree. Although he'd go on to produce tracks for Atlanta hip-hop luminaries such as Goody Mob and Young Blood Z under the stage name Mark Twain. He wanted Malik to finish his degree. When his children got older, he decided to leave the hip-hop business, but Malik still remembers the recording studio in their basement according to The Athletic. Malik's uncle, James Anderson, played for 11 seasons in the NFL and was a third-round draft pick in 2006. Willis started his high school career at Westlake High School, playing both wide receiver and quarterback. As a sophomore, Willis threw for 42 yards while having 8 receptions for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. As a junior, Willis threw for 714 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. He also rushed for 690 yards on 78 carries and 10 touchdowns on the ground while having 13 receptions for 191 yards and 3 more touchdowns. After a coaching change, Willis decided to transfer to Roswell High School, where he would fully embrace the quarterback position. As a senior, Willis threw for 2,562 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions, while rushing for 1,033 yards and 10 touchdowns on the ground. Willis led the Hornets to the Class 7A state title game and was named Class 7A AJC Offensive Player of the Year, as well as First Team All-State. Willis also played baseball in high school and was a strong student, finishing on the honor roll. Coming out of high school, according to 24/7 Sports Composite, Malik Willis was a 3-star recruit who was the 21st best athlete, 35th best player in Georgia, and 368th best player in his class. Willis received over 14 different Division I offers from the likes of Air Force, Auburn, Georgia State, Georgia Tech, and Virginia Tech, while also having interest from Georgia and NC State. The biggest question a lot of schools had when it came to Willis is where he was going to play in college. During the summer going into his senior year, Willis committed to play at Virginia Tech. The issue was, they didn't know whether they wanted to play the Georgia product at quarterback or defensive back. Willis really wanted to play quarterback in college, and after his stellar senior year, schools started looking at him as Malik Willis the quarterback rather than Malik Willis the athlete. Gus Malzahn thought with time, Malik Willis might develop into a similar quarterback compared to Nick Marshall, who led Auburn to an SEC championship and a berth in the BCS title game in 2013. If Willis committed to the Tigers, he would have time to develop as they had just received a commitment from former Baylor quarterback Jarrett Stidham. As a result, Willis decided to decommit from the Hokies during the Belk Bowl. This stirred up a small controversy, as when he decommitted, Virginia Tech was down to Arkansas. It turned out it was just a series of unfortunate events, as Willis wasn't even watching the game, and it had been rumored he was going to decommit in the days leading up to the game. Willis wrote on Twitter, he was going to briefly take a step back and make sure I'm making the right decision for my future. One day after decommitting from the Hokies, Willis committed to Auburn and would enroll early. When Willis got to Auburn, it looked like he was going to be buried on the depth chart and have time to develop. If he wanted to fight for the backup role, it looked like it was going to be a daunting task. Then Tyler Queen decided to transfer while John Franklin III moved to wide receiver and then transferred. Sean White came into the season as Stidham's backup for the 2017 season, but was dismissed in the middle of September. All of a sudden, Willis was the backup quarterback for the Auburn Tigers. Willis saw action in 7 games as a freshman, completing 6 of his 7 passes for 45 yards and 1 touchdown. He also rushed for 221 yards and 1 touchdown on 16 carries. The highlight of the season came against Mississippi State when he had a 67-yard rushing touchdown. As a sophomore, Willis once again served as the backup quarterback, playing in 5 of Auburn's games. The best game of the season came in Auburn's win over Purdue in the Music City Bowl, when Willis rushed for 52 yards on 3 carries. While at Auburn, Willis worked hard in the weight room and on the practice field, but his game slipped up when it came to watching film. Willis thought the starting quarterback job was going to be his once Stidham left Auburn, but that would not be the case. Willis struggled during the spring and let the opportunity to win the starting job slip. Willis told The Athletic, "I was humbled at Auburn because I wasn't working like I should have been working. I wasn't doing the things I needed to be doing in the film room. I wasn't taking advantage of my opportunity, and I was humbled for it." Instead of winning the quarterback job, Willis slipped down the Auburn depth chart, sliding in as a third-string quarterback. Freshman Bo Nix would win the job, while redshirt freshman Joey Gatewood slid into the backup quarterback role. Even before he decided to transfer from Auburn, Willis swore he would never make the same mistake again. Willis would decide to enter the transfer portal, but seemed to leave on a good note. Head coach Gus Malzahn did not just wish Malik well, but helped him while he was looking for a new school. This time around, Willis did not have as many suitors as he did coming out of high school. Chip Lindsey, a former Malzahn assistant, wanted Willis to run the same offense at Troy. Along with that, Liberty showed interest in Willis. Malzahn shared information about Willis, saying he was an incredible kid who was humble and a special leader. Liberty offered a fresher start for Willis, so he decided to commit to the Flames over the Trojans. When Malik Willis got to Liberty, he applied for immediate eligibility and was denied, and his appeal was denied again. Rather than taking the decision as an excuse not to put in the work, Willis did the opposite and worked even harder. While Steven Buckshot Calvert took over the starting quarterback role, Willis smoked the starting defense on the scout team and tried to master the offense. Willis became one of the best players on his team when it came to film study, the thing that was his downfall at Auburn. His journey molded his mindset, telling The Athletic, "When I was at Auburn, I used to only get in for so many plays. So I'd try to hit home runs every time I got in. But now that I'm in the whole game, I just want to win. I could have 10 passing yards and 10 rushing yards. If we win, I don't care." When everyone was sent home due to the global health crisis, Willis worked with his quarterback coach, Sean McAvoy. McAvoy had some ideas to improve Malik Willis' throwing motion. McAvoy had watched Willis work alongside Justin Fields, De'Aaron King, and Jamie Newman, among others, in the past, and knew Willis had a better arm. McAvoy helped Willis work on his delivery, making him more consistent, turning him from an athlete who plays quarterback to a quarterback who has explosive athleticism. Willis would put on a show this past season, surprising everybody but those who worked with him in the past. Malzahn told Saturday Down South, "It doesn't surprise me at all that he's doing as well as he's doing. I think that offense was really a perfect fit for him." Willis played great throughout the season, throwing for 345 yards and 6 touchdowns, while also rushing for 97 yards and another touchdown against Southern Miss. He threw for 217 yards and 3 touchdowns, while rushing for 108 yards and a touchdown in an upset win over Virginia Tech. He led Liberty to an 8-1 record going into the bowl season, with their only loss coming to NC State, 15-14. Liberty was matched up with the undefeated Coastal Carolina team in the Cure Bowl. Willis would throw for 210 yards and 2 interceptions, while rushing for 137 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground, leading the Flames to the upset win. Willis finished the season throwing for 2,250 yards, 20 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, while also rushing for 944 yards and 14 touchdowns in 10 games. Willis finished the season being named to multiple award watch lists and an All-American honorable mention by Phil Steele. Going into the 2021 season, Willis will look to repeat the same success he had last year. As of June 20th, he had plus 8,000 odds to win the Heisman, according to FanDuel, and according to Mel Kiper Jr., is the 3rd best quarterback prospect and 15th best player overall for the 2022 NFL Draft. But what do you think? How will Malik Willis play this season, and will he be a first-round pick in the 2022 NFL Draft? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, check out my other videos in the Who Is series. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.